Hi, I'm Anne Marie with the Oregon Farm Bureau. Welcome to this episode of Fred Talks.
Hi, I'm Dennis Myhrum. I'm the Vice President of Organization for Oregon Farm Bureau.
Today, we're going to be talking with Dennis because he is about to retire from Farm Bureau after 39 years of working with this organization. Can you share with us a brief history of your time here at Farm Bureau?
I was hired by Claire McGann, who was the Executive Vice President of Oregon Farm Bureau at the time. March 16th of 1981, I started with Farm Bureau, and my very first day, I went to the office in Salem. I was living in Silverton at the time, and after spending a day with various staff, I came back home, packed a bag, went to Tillamook County Farm Bureau meeting that night. I've been on the road ever since. So all these years I've spent out in the field. The first few years I was in the northwest part. I covered Tillamook, Clatsop, over to Marion, Multnomah, and all those northwestern corner states, and then got the opportunity to move over here. I live in Union County. I live in the little town of Cove right outside of La Grande. So I've been serving this area from Hood River east to Myhrum County and Harney County and Grant as well. Back in the 70s, I fought fire out in this area. I had a real interest in coming back, so it was a good move.
What do you do as a field staffer?
Well, I work directly with the boards of directors. The field staff job is referred to as a liaison between the county and the state. So as issues come up in the counties, if it's something that needs to be worked on locally with a county planning or a county commission, or if it needs to go on up to the state level, I help facilitate that as well. So we promote the programs, we promote the activities, and of course the advocacy that is so key to Oregon Farm Bureau success. I can't think of a better job, frankly, that I was suited for, is to work behind the scenes and working hard to try and make the county farm bureaus and their leaders as successful as possible for the greater good.
I'm sure you helping all those Farm Bureau volunteer leaders throughout really made a difference.
The interesting thing is that the issues vary so much because, of course, on the west side of the region where Hood River and Wasco, there's heavy labor issues. But then you get over down in Grant and Harney and Myhrum, there's cattle, there's row crops, and then you come around, we've got orchards as well in Milton Freewater, part of Umatilla, Morrow, and so it's very diversified, dryland wheat and grazing and hay.
There's so many rules and regulations and laws and fees, all sorts of things that directly impact farm and ranch's ability to keep doing business. And so, with so few people actually working in agriculture, having an organization like Farm Bureau that creates a united voice for ag is very important and essential.
It is, and if agriculture doesn't speak up and tell its story, someone else will, and it may not be the version that you like. So it's very important to not only support the Oregon Farm Bureau and its advocacy, but be involved, respond to action alerts, respond to issues when they come up. Because we are so few in numbers, it's important that everybody participate. It's kind of like what Barry Bichoux has said all these years. If a farm's not budgeting for their advocacy, like they budget for fertilizer or any other operational items, they're shortchanging themselves and their industry. So membership in Farm Bureau is as important as any other input in operational cost.
There are a number of Farm Bureau families around the state that have been volunteering for generations. Is that something you've witnessed?
Oh yeah, in all the counties there's multi-generational activities. Right off the bat, I think of the Pauline family in Wasco County. I think they're on their fifth generation that is actively involved with Farm Bureau. I think about Doug Brees, a former state president and Crook Wheeler County president, was so active for so many years, and he's had his own kids involved for many years. The Chapins, I knew Jack Chapin, a pillar of the of the organization. And then Bruce came along, his son, very active, and Austin, his son. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the neat thing about this family organization. They're the foundation for this organization. It creates a culture of involvement and loyalty. It's amazing.
Are there a couple of memories you wouldn't mind sharing?
I would mention one that it was an opportunity given to me by the executive vice president at the time was Andy Anderson, and it was in the early 90s. You'll call the breakup of the Soviet Union, and after the breakup, there was many of those former Soviet states that were independent and trying to formulate their own ag organizations to have a greater say in how to market and sell and their commodities. So they were organizing, and I was blessed with the opportunity to go to Kyrgyzstan and spend better than 3 weeks with the help of an interpreter to talk to them about benefits of organizing, having committees and organizational structure and so on. And that was something that I could never have dreamed of, the opportunity to do something like that. I still remember sitting up on a ridge with a bunch of locals, and I looked out over in the distance, and there was a range of mountains that were snow-capped, and they kind of reminded me of the Wallowa Mountains around here. And I through the interpreter, I asked what mountains those were, and they said, "Oh, those are the premier mountains in China." I indeed was really on the other side of the world from my family. It was quite an eye-opener, a realization that wow, this is a pretty big deal. I've got so many memories, so many friends in Farm Bureau.
Through the American Farm Bureau conventions and trainings, you've been across the United States quite a bit too.
I have, yeah. That's been one of the biggest blessings as well, is the opportunity to travel around. But I met so many folks from other state farm bureaus that I've networked with and become friends with. You can't take that for granted. I think that's one of the reasons why I've pushed so hard for young folks to go to the American Farm Bureau Y&R conferences over the years, is because the networking they do, it's great doing it here locally, getting to know each other around the state. But boy, everyone that I've talked to that has gone to the national conferences and met folks from different states, finding out that they share common problems and issues and so on. That's really an eye opener and great opportunity.
Now, aren't there some fun memories in the Farm Bureau archives about you performing at various conventions over the years?
Barry Bashew and I in the black suits. In the middle is former Executive Vice President Andy Anderson, and Barry and I are lip-syncing songs to the Blues Brothers at a Oregon Farm Bureau convention.
Wow, that is epic.
Yeah, and I want to make it perfectly clear, it was all Barry's idea. All Barry's. He gets the credit and the blame.
Do you have any concept of about how many miles you've driven? There's a lot of time spent in your vehicle driving all over to county meetings and events.
Well, I remember back on my 30th anniversary, Dave Dillon kind of made my back ache a little bit at a county convention where he said he figured out that at that time, and that was 9 years ago, that I'd driven somewhere in the area of about 1.2 million or 1.4 million miles back then, and I've gone through a lot of cars on behalf of Farm Bureau and gone to a lot of meetings in a lot of good weather and a lot of bad weather.
How has Farm Bureau changed in your tenure?
The biggest impact has been the advance of all the electronic communications. I mean, I remember back in the Stone Age when we actually used paper and pencil, and even before fax machines and answering machines, it was to what we have now available. Even though at times it's frustrating, some of that technology is, but it's made it a lot easier, particularly for folks out here in the hinterlands, to be able to voice their concerns in Salem or in Washington, D.C. Electronically. So there really isn't any excuse not to speak your mind and raise your concerns.
What would you hope for Farm Bureau as we move into the future?
As useful as the electronic opportunities such as Zoom like this is a good tool, I hope we don't get completely away from face-to-face meetings. A farmer talking to a farmer talking to a legislator, a farmer talking to an elected official. The face-to-face contact, to me, that will never go out of style and never lose its effectiveness.
What maybe advice or inspiration would you give to, first, a Farm Bureau volunteer leader, and then maybe second to an Oregon Farm Bureau staff person?
At the county levels in particular, you need to deepen your bench. And what I mean by that, the more people you can get involved, the more you can have a deeper resource of leaders. And there's so many opportunities to grow leaders within the county organization that they really, that needs to be a key element of a county farm bureau. As far as staff members go, learning to walk in the members' shoes at times. A memory of being at a county farm bureau meeting, there was a lot of hard issues and attacks against agriculture and locally and otherwise. And after the meeting was over, I was walking out, and as I passed by this one member, still active to this day, but he was sitting in a chair, and I looked over him. I said, "So what's the matter? You all right?" He says, "Yeah, but I'm just realizing that I'm spending half of my time on my operation and the other half of my waking time fighting to keep my operation." You know, that's important. They're doing the work that so few people do, and so few people can do successfully, and they need our support and our care for all that they do.
What are some things that you'll miss working for Farm Bureau?
Well, I'll miss the people. I mean, I've got, they're not just acquaintances. I've come to become close friends with so many. Since I've seen every corner of this state multiple times, my wife hasn't seen much of it, so we're going to be traveling around quite a bit and probably ending up in some of these members' driveway looking for a place to park our trailer. So truly, most of the friends that I have are Farm Bureau folks, and so it's a huge part of my personal life, and I cherish it deeply.
It is like a family. Farm Bureau is like a family.
Yes, it is.
So what's next for you, Dennis?
I owe my wife a great deal. I've got two great kids, and I credit my wife, Connie. She's a great and very patient woman, and raised, for the most part, our two kids, all on her own when I've been away. And now we have three beautiful granddaughters, that two in Washington State and one nearby. And so it's time just to give back to the family. I've got an elderly mother down in the Willamette Valley that because of COVID, she's in a care facility that's locked down, and I don't know when I'll see her again, but I don't have any grand plans. I'm not going to go traveling around the world. We've got a pickup and travel trailer, and we're just going to go camping whenever we can and spend time with the family the rest of the time.
Well, Dennis, thank you so much for being our guest feature on this episode of Fred Talks, and we wish you the best retirement ever. We hope you enjoy it to the fullest, and thank you so much for your 39 years of service.
Well, thank you, Anne Marie. I appreciate the opportunity to do this, and I appreciate all the members. It's going to be tough saying goodbye to the young man that's taken my place, Tucker Billman, who was formerly with Congressman Greg Walden's office. He's going to step in and do a great job too. I have no doubt about it, with Jake and Taylor's guidance and working alongside with Victoria Flowers. We are truly blessed with amazing staff that really are dedicated not just to the organization but to agriculture, and want to help in any way, shape, and form we can.